What's up?
Fuck. We have to start over. What the fuck happened?
It's all good.
Yeah.
So let me kick you out real quick. Kick from studio, kick guest. I don't know, but it's okay. I got the timestamp. All right, so T, we kind of had some technical difficulty, but oh well, who cares? This is what happens. So you were describing a little bit what it's like being in the show. You said it's surreal, right? And so keep going.
Yeah, I was saying, like, you don't realize, to me, this is my everyday life. I wake up, I go there, I do my job. So for me, I don't realize that it's the show until special moments happen. And
Yeah.
I take a step back and I realize, like, I made it, or this is special, or not a lot of people get to do this around the world. So, for example, I lived in Arizona for the past 3 years. I went to Diamondback games, and to go to Chase Field in a whole different way, and having my friends come to see me now instead of me going to see the Major League team in the past, like, that was a moment for me. It was like, I'm here, but in a different way.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so mad at myself. We talked a little bit off air of like, hey, you were supposed to come see me, and if I'm being honest, like, I just out of sight, out of mind, like super busy. And then when I saw them play, I was like, oh shit, I was supposed to go see Theresa. But I love that you kind of just talked about like from a fan perspective, and then now like you're in the show and you have friends and family coming to see you. I think one of the coolest moments that I got to experience just with your own hero's journey and getting to a point where like you've made it, right? I think you might have had a Snapchat or something like that where you were in Milwaukee, and it was just that first moment that you got to see like fans in there, and like it was cool. Like I got teary-eyed because I was like, holy shit, like I know what Theresa has gone through to get to this point. Like this is amazing. So can you like describe that to our listeners, like what it felt like the first time, like first major league game to be under the lights and things like that?
I think the first time was when I went to Milwaukee before spring training, and I got the chance to step onto the field of American Family Field.
Yeah.
And it was huge. How big that field is, and with all the lights, and then also the first game, opening day, everyone leading up to it kept preparing me like, this is special, this is special, this is special. Yeah. And I didn't feel it. I was like, shit, like I'm just trying to do my job. I don't even know what's going to happen minutes from now.
I'm just here. Does anyone need soft tissue?
Just tell me what to do. And it all came up so fast. And it was the time when it was opening day and they were announcing the staff and team and players onto the field. And they announced my name, after all of the equipment managers, some medical staff. And I heard a applaud, and it was a pretty loud applaud. And to me, it was like, all right, this is it. This is it. Like we're starting the season, and I'm only going to get one first opening day. So I know to sit back and take it all in.
I wish I could have been there. Again, for some of our listeners, a little bit of backstory. I described it in a little bit of the intro, but working with a couple seasons with the ball club, like I was able to create such like really fantastic relationships and friendships, and Theresa is absolutely one of those. And so I wish I would have been there, T, because I think it's just a culmination, and we'll kind of dive into a little bit of what that process has looked like for you, because I was trying to do some research, right? And when I'm like constructing of the way I want these conversations to go, like I want to throw in some like zingers and things like that. But I was like trying to do some research on like, okay, what are the numbers of women in baseball just across the board? What are the numbers of women on medical teams in professional baseball? And the last, and it was an article. Okay. It was an article. It has no stats attached to it, but the last article was in 2019. Which it's 2021, which to me, like this should be something that we're talking more about. So For you, as you're stepping into more of a male centric career field, what does it feel like to be in such a huge minority, not only just as a female, but also as a female of color in baseball? Like, what does that feel like for you?
Every day is different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be completely transparent. Sometimes you gotta feel like you're walking on eggshells a little bit
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
until you have a complete understanding of who you're working with and talking to,
Yeah.
because you don't know who's gonna offend you or if you're gonna offend someone. So it is a navigation process, but
Mm-hmm.
once we're around the same people every single day, every single
Yeah.
hour. We travel with each other. Like, we're starting to become, it's mid-season, it's June, we're starting to become family.
Yeah.
And you can tell, like, everyone's there for a reason. It's the show, right? No matter if
Yeah.
you're staff, player, whoever you are, like, you're there for a reason. We all worked our way to get
Mm-hmm.
here to this spot, this moment. So it's a respect thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy. I would say, like, not even being a female in the major leagues, but just being part of this life in general. You're always
Yeah.
on the go.
Mm-hmm.
There, there's barely any time for personal life. So it's not easy in general. So people who are in it respect that with each
Yeah.
other.
I would agree too. It's a mutual respect of everyone is grinding. I think you and I have had so many conversations about the baseball life and how you have to truly love it and you have to truly throw yourself into it in order to be successful because you all are grinders. Like it doesn't stop. There's off days, but there's no such thing as an off day, right? So,
Yeah, this is my
um,
birthday and I'm talking to you.
yeah, no. Right. So like that's not a real thing. Now you talked about everyone had to do what they needed to do to get to where they are. So let's kind of dive into your story a little bit. I mean, did you know that you always wanted to be in professional sports? I mean, when did that process start for you?
I always knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to. That was a goal that I wanted to achieve, but I didn't think
Hmm.
it was possible until I met other people, like-minded people who were able to do internships
Yeah.
or able to step into that world just for a little bit. And I thought to
Yeah.
myself, like, wow, if they could do it, like, I'm talking to people, at that time
Hmm.
who did it, and they seemed like awesome people, very humble, just stuck to it. Like,
Yeah.
it's possible if that's what we really wanted to do. So I think since college, I knew I wanted to be in professional sports.
Yeah. So talk to me about the most influential moments because like obviously with this podcast like can't believe I made it, like it's about the hero's journey and it's about navigating habits and talking to high performers like yourself of like what has worked and what hasn't for you. Like what have been the most influential moments throughout your career that got you to a point where you're now in the show that had a lot to do with self-doubt or maybe some imposter syndrome? Like can you speak on that at all, T?
Yeah, everyone has their moments that life catches up on them.
Mm-hmm.
It Life never stops. It's always on the go, whether it's personal or work related. Um, we feel defeated at some times.
Yeah.
And, just from working with you and, doing a lot of reading and a lot of research myself, you just take a step back and realize these little defeats are really little wins. And
Mm-hmm.
depends how you look at it. Um, Everyone goes through failure, and the ones who actually succeed, whatever success means to you, are the ones
Mm-hmm.
how you handle those failures. Um, I felt defeated for multiple times throughout my life, and you don't realize that those little things make you stronger until you get to where you want to be, and you look
Mm-hmm.
back, and those are the moments that you really find yourself growing.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of stepping back a little bit on that, I mean, can you talk about like one or two moments that were really influential? I mean, I really love what you had said. Like, I think what I heard there was like failure is feedback. You use these moments and you are able to use them in a way where in the future, like your future self, your present self now, like you understand why those things happen. But can you tell us about like one or two times that you can think about where you're like, oh shit, like that was a hard moment, but it was influential and this is why.
Yeah, I mean, I can go back way back into when I was at school and taking exams and my PT exam and my
Hmm.
CSCS exam. I was never book smart, say.
Yeah.
I was a great test taker, so I didn't pass my first time taking it through, and
Hmm.
that made me realize I had to go back, take a step back, and I knew it wasn't the end of the world, and I had to
Yeah.
figure out. That was like one moment when I was younger in my career.
Hmm.
I got into baseball. There were little like fuck up moments, and
Yeah.
and I kept it to myself. It was only me and people, my coworkers, and it's like shit, I shouldn't have done that, or like I missed that step.
Yeah.
Um, whether it's working with players, throughout their rehab, or saying something I shouldn't have in a meeting. Those
Hmm.
little things that I reflected on, and it's like, okay, it's
Hmm.
okay to make that mistake, but
Yeah.
to make it again, like that can't happen, especially in high pressure situations like that we work in. So
Yeah.
you just got to realize that.
So I mean, obviously being in the show, like everything is high pressure, right? Because there's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of money in people's bodies and careers on the line for you, right? And so one of the things that I really like to dive into, and you and I have talked about this a lot, is the habits and going back in and what helps you to be this hero, this person that is like living their dream, right? And so like, can you dive into like your habits and how they've evolved and what you started with and what is really working for you right now that keeps you locked in?
I think you have helped me kind of create what my morning routine looks like.
Hmm.
I didn't have
Yeah.
a routine. I got out of bed, woke up, I took a shower, got dressed, went to work.
Yeah.
Um, and it was on the drive to work where, you feel like, oh shit, I'm going to work. Like that's that
Yeah.
defeat moment again.
Yeah.
Um, and for us, it was just start small. I think we started with 5 habits. And for me, that was even too much. Um,
Hmm.
it was the simple things like getting up. First thing you do is make your bed and brush your teeth in that order.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, you know, and that's as simple as that sounds. I know for me, like sometimes I would get up, I wouldn't make my bed, I'd shower first and then brush my teeth.
Hmm.
But to actually have some sort of consistency and something ahead in my mind, it helps in the long run to set up your day for success.
Yeah.
So I always try to win the morning, whatever that looks like. So I
Hmm.
have it's not even a list of habits. It's just like something I do now in the mornings.
Yeah.
And it's small. It's nothing crazy. I don't, I journal, but I don't make it a point to do it every single morning.
Hmm.
It's just winning the morning to set up your day so you have that energy and the mood to be present in the moment.
I really love that because in for our listeners out there in episode one, so if you have not listened to this, please go back because I dove into like cascading habits and I think it's really influential because Teresa, it sounds like what you're talking about here is like winning the morning, like just those one, two, or third thing helps to cascade into other behaviors and other habits. And so as you start to like, as you started to rather to hone in on that stuff, and now where you're at today, like what other habits have those habits cascaded into? Like, how do you see yourself from a success standpoint when you're like at the end of the day, like, okay, I got these things done. I feel really great about the day. I can go to bed. What are those other habits for you?
I think the biggest thing was changing my mindset that if I don't complete a task or a habit, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm such a high achiever and type A. I mean, we all are.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. Like we all have a list
Yeah.
that we want to get done. And for me in the past, if I didn't cross off everything on that list, I felt defeated. I went
Yeah.
to bed, I was like, oh, like I didn't go to bed peacefully because I knew I had other things in the back of my mind.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I will always wanted to work out every single day, so just something
Yeah.
simple like that. But now, it, I don't set those high expectations for myself. Um,
Yeah.
I set the 1 and 2 things that I want to get done. If I work out, like I was like, I only work out 3 or 4 times a week, and that's okay. It doesn't have
Hmm.
to be 5 days or 7 days. Like as long as I get it done, that's fine for me.
Yeah.
So I actually lowered the expectations for myself,
Yeah.
as contradictory as that sounds.
Well, it makes a lot of sense because I think like we always discuss personal bandwidth. You know, when our listeners out there, you look week to week on all the things that you want to achieve. I think people get really stuck in wanting to cross everything off their list, which causes them to step into that all or nothing thinking. And then before you know it, they end up doing nothing. Right. And so I love, T, that you kind of like dialed it back a little bit based off of your own personal bandwidth. Cause like as I look at it, it's really cool to see because that's what progression looks like. Right. And early on when you and I started working together, you were really good at following directions. So much so that like it wasn't even that you enjoyed the habits, it was just I'm just crossing them off the list. But it sounds like you found an evolution of things that you actually really enjoy. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So let's kind of take a step back a little bit. I like to have a little bit of fun, throw some questions your way. All right. So these are fun questions. All right. And so for our listeners out there and future guests, don't listen to these and start to write them down. All right. They just need to come off the top of the dome.
Yeah,
So
you didn't even give me
that's the point. That's the point. Okay. All right. So this is about the hero's journey, right? So Theresa Lau, who is your hero comp? Who is your hero comparison? All right. If you had to look at a superhero, who's your comparison?
Oh fuck this. So many come into mind.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
So okay, I'll say one of my mentors, his name is Bert Reed, and
Mm-hmm.
I got the major league job. I tried to get him on board to work with us. He's a physical therapist. He's a owner of a clinic, like multiple clinics. He works in Rhode
Mm-hmm.
Island, and he has, from the outside looking in, like he has, success, whatever that is for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
he wakes up early. He's always in a great mood. He has a great personality. He runs a business and he treats multiple patients during the day.
Yeah.
He has the time to take out for himself. He carves time for himself. He goes on runs during his lunch break. He's active. He has a great family.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like that's just doing it.
Yeah.
So for me, like he's probably up there with my mentor, Bert Reed.
Okay. So you went to like actual relationships. I love that. I love that. So if we had to go on the other side, like and this could be aspects of yourself, T, that you're still working on. Um, who's the supervillain? What characteristics are your supervillain?
Super villain.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about like imposter syndrome. We talked a little bit about self-doubt. So like who's your supervillain? What sort of things do you struggle with on a day-to-day basis?
Um, ego. I think
Ego.
ego,
Okay, why is that? Tell me more.
because I always got to keep him in check.
Oh my God.
Back in my mind, making sure, like, hey,
Shut the hell up. As your friend, I can definitely agree with that.
it's
Goddamn.
like, hey, I love what I do. I'm at the highest level. I work with,
Mhm.
like you said, millionaires. Like these are
Yeah.
highest level I possibly can. So, um, I'm very passionate in what I do, and I continue to grow. And every single day is an opportunity for me to get better. And I realized looking back a year from now, I'm better than what I was a year from now. And I know I'm going to continue to grow and get better. So I have to make sure that ego part of me stays in check and I stay calm, cool, and collective and continue that growth mindset.
So T, like I love, it's like it's all about like knowing thyself, right? So I love that you have that awareness. So for our listeners out there, can you kind of describe a little bit more of when ego starts to really be loud for you and what happens?
Yeah, so it even goes far back. Like, I don't even like posting pictures on Instagram because I was like, oh, is this bragging that I'm in the show?
Yeah. Big time T.
Like, I hate talking about what I do with my friends because they're my friend, like my real friends. They don't care, they don't matter. But like other people who are acquaintances, I hate talking about it. Because I don't know how it comes off. I do speak very humbly, and I do appreciate what I do. But sometimes during work when I know I nailed something, and biggest example is if a player gets off the table and they come on to me and say like, oh, their shoulder hurts, something's achy.
Yeah.
Like, okay, get on the table, do my thing. 10, 15 minutes later, they cut up. I was like, oh, I don't feel anything anymore. So it's like a little like,
I'm the shit.
But that's just us like funny banter back and forth. But
yeah. So like I think T, like this is something that you and I have had discussions about, and I really enjoy your insight on it because what you do, physical therapist, strength coach, athletic trainer, all on the show, like is really special. And one of the things that I've really valued about things that we've talked about is the connection that you have not only to your work, but truly connecting with the players. Can you describe a little bit about what that is like for you and why that's super important?
It's a trust thing. This is their career. This is their moneymaker. Their body is how they make money. So they gotta to completely trust you, and with that, and it's a two-way street. It's a give and take. We're accomplishing the same goal, but I don't know what the goal is unless they tell me and unless they share that with me. Whether it's that not feeling their glutes fire, whatever it is, like if they don't feel comfortable sharing that with me, we're not going to get anywhere. It's also a thing for me. Like I realize this is the show, but this is their show. People pay me to see them, not me. And we talk about ego, and some of these guys have the biggest egos in the world, and you got to kind of feed into that a little bit. And they're all great guys. It's not a bad thing at all. They're high performers. And if once it's their show. I always, when I walk into the room, I always think to myself, I'm never the most important person in the room. There's always something to be heard, something to be seen. And when you take a step back and you look at it that way, they're telling you what the problem is. It's just your job to listen.
I love that too, because even just by doing what you're doing, like you're able to understand your own ego in the moment, and you can put that aside because you're also trying to not carry their ego, but you're trying to also, just like you said, feed into it. I want to ask you, because you and I have had conversations about this, and with the way things are now, I mean, big topic is like Ben Simmons and like his mindset. And so I want to talk to you, T, about the athlete's mindset, what you've learned from it, not only just teaching them, but also just from high performing athletes. Like, what do you notice about these athletes, about their mindset?
They have an awesome mindset. They know they have a balance of when to turn it on and when to turn it off. And you can see it in some of our starting pitchers who pitch every seventh day on the rotation. When on the days they're not pitching, they get their work done, but they're themselves. They have the personality. They joke around. The days that they are pitching, even from the day they step into the building, it's a completely different switch.
Yeah.
And they go into like fight, fire, beast mode.
Yeah.
And you just know you gotta like step back, like step out of their way. So
Yeah.
you're getting ready,
Yeah.
preparing for war, even like 10 minutes, 15 minutes before game time. And in the locker room, they're blasting, pump up music and
Yeah.
getting their uniform on. For me, like, I know when I was playing softball and soccer in high school, like putting on a jersey is special. It's like
Yeah.
turning it on.
Yeah.
And to see that real time, it's cool. It's very cool. It's a balance for them.
Well, all right. So you and I had watched, I forgot which World Series game it was. I think it might have been like game 6 or 7 with the Rays. Remind me who they were playing again. It was like Rays and someone else. Um, Gosh, it's off the top of my brain. I can't remember what it was, but I remember it was like last inning, like count was like 3-2, and the pitcher was just like locked in. And I remember sitting next to you, and you were like, "Can you imagine what it feels like?" And those like dudes' veins are made of ice right now because they're just locked in. And so I love that you describe that of like the athlete's mindset. Have you taken things from athletes? Because I know that I have. Because I know that like when I'm helping someone, that I know what's at stake here, but I don't truly know. But it it tends to kind of it tends to be infectious where
Yeah.
it's like, you know what, like I need to be locked in because you're locked in right now. So are there things about an athlete's mindset, professional athlete's mindset, that you've taken for yourself just in your own professional development?
Yeah. Yeah. You put it that way. Haven't thought about it that way, but there
Yeah.
are times where it's like, it's my turn. It's my turn to work. If I'm someone
Hmm.
at the table or I'm working with someone who's in they're the ones starting pitching that day. Like it's my turn to work, and you
Yeah.
kind of turn it on and off a little bit. I will say I am way more focused in this position than I was in previous positions because
Yeah.
things are heightened.
Hmm.
We don't have time to lose. We don't have a day to lose.
Hmm.
Every single little thing needs to be right, and you need to plan that out way in the future. And you
Yeah.
have to expect things like if they're going to be sore the next day, I kind of expected that, expect that
Yeah.
to happen. So that it is a little bit like zone in, like this is it.
Hmm.
We have the ultimate goal is to win a World Series. We
Yeah.
may be in June now, but everything that we do now matters in the end.
Yeah. I love that too because it's something that's so fascinating to me. I keep mentioning on different podcasts. So if you're kind of hopping podcasts, you've heard me mention it. Like, just deal with it. I've watched The Last Dance, the Jordan documentary, like probably all the way through like 4 times, and it's so amazing to me, like the mindset of a champion like that, because it's about not only the craft, but to me, like what I find, and I don't know if you can speak on this, T, is like there's a shit ton of mindfulness. There's a shit ton of I'm in the moment right now, and this is my moment. I've been preparing for this moment for, pretty much my whole life. And so I'm really going to throw myself in the moment and be mindful about not the future, but where I'm at today. So, like, do you see that? And does it give you chills?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, right. It's crazy.
And thinking of like some of the players that I've had rehabbing in the minor leagues who are in the big leagues now and watching them grow
Yeah.
gives me chills too.
It absolutely does. I mean, I'm so proud of a lot of the guys that we worked with too that are in the show now, where I'm just like, and they're doing really well. And I'm like, damn, like I've seen you at your most vulnerable place. And I want to ask you about that too, because you get to see guys, Theresa, like when they're injured, right? They've been working their bodies and their mind their whole life to get here. And then something happens, injury happens or stuff like that. And then all of a sudden they just become vulnerable because their body is no longer working at the rate or pace that they want it to. What do you find with these guys when they're in that place?
that's when the mindset and mentality comes in, and why it's so important to connect with them,
Yeah.
because it's an identity crisis, because their entire life they see themselves
Shit.
as professional athletes,
Uh-huh.
and all of a sudden all of that gets taken away and they don't know what to do with themselves. So that's why
Holy shit. Okay.
it's vulnerable for them, because you take that away, and the only people who are there, when you're hurt, you're not on the field. Fans don't care about you. The organization, they care about you, but they don't really. You're not the one on the field making, like, being productive. The only ones who really care in their minds are their support system, and the person who's going to make them better, and the medical staff.
Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
like it.
That's crazy. I had never thought about the identity crisis thing, because you're absolutely right. I mean, they are sort of centered in having this identity of being this high performer and this professional athlete. And I mean, I've seen it on the side of like how vulnerable it is to have others help you, to have others kind of work you out and to really help them to push through some of the pain. And what I see too is a lot of the mental barriers that happen. I don't think that I had ever thought about like it's an identity crisis, because you're absolutely right. I mean, we've seen that across the board. And I love the fact too that you talked about like that's really when you need to connect with them. And so for our listeners out there who, again, we're all talking to high performers here. Um, Trials are going to come 100%. And your ability to see yourself through them is really key. And I think what Theresa provides is really fantastic, aside from all the medical things that she's doing, but she's also doing a great deal of support and mindset training. So Theresa, for you, like when someone has that identity crisis, how do you help them? You mentioned connecting with them. Like, what does that mean? I know what that means, but I want you to tell our listeners.
It's meeting them at their level. They're so prideful in what they do, and they're men.
Yeah.
Don't like asking for help, but it's my job. Like, that's literally my job description, is to help these guys get better with their bodies, and they don't have to ask me. Like, they know, like, I'm there for them. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's meeting them halfway. Like, hey, you're here right now. You just got
Mm-hmm.
surgery, whatever just happened. Let's look at it 6 weeks from now. Let's look at it 8 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's plan that out and set those little wins, those little goals. I like to call them like let's go moments. First
Yeah.
time you swing the bat, first time you throw, whether it's like 20 feet. Those little moments, like, it's important to celebrate them throughout that rehab process, because it's a long journey and there are ups and downs to it. So,
Mm-hmm.
you got to prepare them that you may feel defeated, but there's the other side of it.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it firsthand too. I mean, I've seen guys really connect with you because you do a really fantastic job of not only just getting to know them, but getting to know their families, getting to know things that they enjoy. And from what I've seen, like they're really happy during a rehab stint to come in and see you. I mean, you've been able to do that, which I think is really fantastic. And I think it also speaks to your ability to truly connect with the person and not just the athlete. And that's where I think T like really sets you apart and really makes you a high performer. So let me ask you, like, the theme of the podcast is can't believe I made it, right? So do you believe that you've made it, or do you still feel like you have more to go?
I oof. I made it in where I want to be in my career, but I have way more to go.
Okay. Okay. Because you mentioned your mentor, and I'm kind of just thinking like there are some things that you mentioned in there, like really successful, has a business, has a family. I mean, are those things on the docket for you in the future at some point?
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. That's why, like, I'm young in my career, and like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I always try to strive to get better. And a year from now, I hope to be better, whatever better means than
Mm-hmm.
I am right now. So I know I got more to go. I just don't know what exactly that is right now.
Yeah. So T, last question for you. Thank you so much for being our first guest on the Can't Believe I Made It podcast.
This is the trial run, huh?
This is the trial run. I love it. I love it. It's our first guest. So T, if you were to go back 5 years from now, what would you say to yourself back then?
5 years from now, I just graduated grad school, physical therapy school, trying to get a job.
Yeah. Any words of wisdom? What would you say to yourself back then?
Take a zoomed out lens approach.
Okay.
Every day.
What does that mean?
There's always going to be a tomorrow, and you can't hyper focus on what's happening today or yesterday or what could happen in the future. Just stay in the moment and do your thing. You know what that is, just do your thing.
Mindset of a high performer. I love it. All right, T, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for hopping on. I have so much love for you. I'm super proud of you. Just know that when you're out there, like I'm out there with you. I'm celebrating with you. I'm in the show. Okay.
Yeah, you are.
All right, for our listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in to our first guest in our new podcast, Can't Believe I Made It podcast, a podcast taking a look at the habits, taking a look at the hero's journey, and really celebrating the people that we're talking to, because these people are high performers. So as always, if you could like, subscribe, share this with a friend, share this with someone who you think might need it, someone who is really struggling with self-doubt or imposter syndrome, or just like T said, just take a zoomed out lens and focus in on the moment. So thank you all for listening. Have a beautiful day.